Hey everyone, so this is Love is Blind Mexico, the reunion. Um, so we get the hosts Omar and Lucy, and then we get two other extra hosts. And I'm not entirely sure why that's necessary, but you know what? Whatever. So we start off with, Omar asking for Fernando and Karen to stand in what they call the reunion circle, which will um, turn red or green, depending on if you're still together, green, or not together, red. So they stand in a circle, and we find out that it turns green and they're still together, which I think is, this was the one couple who I thought would not stay together, um, for sure, because they didn't seem to come to any sort of resolution when they would talk and have arguments. So, mm, it's I mean, I'm glad to be proven wrong. So um so um so they kind of get asked, what had gone on with Fernando's ex, and he just says, he repeats basically what he said during the filming during filming, and he says that, if it was an emergency, he would, do whatever he could for her. If not, then nothing was going to go, nothing was going to happen. Um, at the beginning of the, reunion, they showed a little clip of Karen and Fernando, and she said something about her feeling very sick. Um, and they were widely speculating that, you know, she had to have been pregnant. Turns out it was just some really bad wine that just obviously did not agree with her. So she that's just all that came to of it. These people on their fucking manipulation is just annoying me. Um, anyways, turns out, Fernando and his dad had some argument, um, and they were kind of on bad terms a little bit, and then they made up. So, then they asked her about, asked Karen about what she had said to Elise, and she says the reason why she was so hard on Elise is because, or I would say at the barbecue, sorry, forgot to mention that. And so she's explaining, that so Elise told her that she was going to um, end the relationship with Fernando after giving the gifts. And it turns out, in reality, she told him she wanted to give it another shot. Um, is claiming that it was Fernanda that was spreading misinformation and not her claiming to win the shot for real. And in Fernando's mind, giving the gifts is what um, it was a proposal. And so Ida East explains a little bit later, that the the clip of her of both Elise and Karen hugging and, kind of hashing it out was after she had given the gifts to Fernando, laid her cards out on the table, and he said, I don't want to see you anymore. And so basically, what the editors did was they put the clip even though it came after the gifts and after Fernando had rejected her. They put that clip before she had gone to Fernando with the gifts and said, "Hey, I want to give this a shot." And then he said, ultimately, obviously, I don't want to. And then they put that, the clip of her with the gifts and him rejecting her second. And that could possibly be very true. That still doesn't negate the fact that I personally think that Elise ran straight to Renee because she got rejected. Like, she still did. She still ran straight to him because her first choice didn't want her first. So, anyways, back to Karen and Fernando. So basically, they're in a good spot, and they show kind of clips of her and Fernando in their new apartment and all that stuff. So, and doing little things here and there. So they then switch over to Rocio and the comments that Elise made saying, "I'm getting married." And like I said before, when it happened, Rocio was thinking in her mind, well, if someone says, if me and another woman have a connection with one specific guy, and the other woman besides me says, "I'm getting married," I'm going to think that means that the guy that we both have an interest in proposed to her. That's not a wild thought. That is not a wild and crazy idea for someone to have. So I understand why she would think that, because that's not a far-fetched idea. And then so I'm gonna feel blindsided because you didn't say anything to me about doing that. Like, you didn't say anything to me about not wanting to continue with the process with me, and you decide to want to do the process of someone else. You didn't say any of that to me. So I'm over here wondering, like, what are you talking about? Like, what is she talking about? So I'm gonna go to the person involved and be like, what's going on? So I don't blame her for that thinking. And what she decided to do was go to the source, Fernando. And, at the time I remember saying, I also was thinking that in Iraisa's mind, that she knows that she wants to marry the guy, not necessarily that he proposed. Now, that's obviously what she stated in the pod at the time. And thinking back on it now, it kind of seems manipulative, because I can see how it's very manipulative, because it's like it's very, it's gonna cause people to do a tailspin, or it can cause people to do a tailspin, and it's now you have people doing things that they normally wouldn't do because they feel blindsided. And I mean, obviously the person's reaction is their own decision making. I just feel like with this situation, Ida knew what she was doing, because we did. I mean, again, this could all be editing, but we didn't see her go to Renee all that much. We saw maybe one conversation before she decided to end things, or not really end things, but she you see her have one conversation with him before devoting all of her time and energy to Fernando. So that's what is weird is that, and then all of a sudden she's, trying to devote all her time to him because it's like, well, it's giving off that you had no other options besides Fernando. And you put all your eggs into Fernando, and then he rejects you. So you go scurrying back to your second choice. We see this all the time on this particular dating show, because if you guys have been watching Love Is Blind UK, Nicole did the same thing with Benaya. He and Ollie did the same thing with Demi. I think personally, where with Nicole and Benaya, Nicole was all in on Sam, despite both Benaya and Jasmine telling her Sam wasn't the best choice. And she went with Sam first. And then post reveal, she hightails it to Benaya. And personally, with Ollie, I think his type is Catherine. I have my reasons as to why I think that he did what he did and decided to go with Demi, but to me he hightailed it to Demi. But so yeah, Idais did the same thing here. She had all her eggs in one basket on Fernando. He didn't want to continue, and so she went right back. She went straight to her second choice. So, but yeah, so basically, if Fernando really, asked her to marry him, there's no way the editors would have left that out. If anything, they would have put that in and showed that they were going to get engaged. There's no way they would have left that out. There's no way. So that's how I knew, for her, she was just saying, well, I think I'm going to marry this man. Like, I have a high confidence that I'm going to marry this man. So, anyway, so we then move on to Sylvia and Chema, who's up in a circle, and Sylvia, they're still not together, or they're not still together. Apparently, Chema had 1,000 things to fix and couldn't give her the attention she deserved. And I'm like, you knew, like, if you knew this going into the pods, then there's no way you would have, like, I don't understand, like, why he would. I mean, I guess he just thought he was ready or something. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of, is that you thought you were ready and turned out you weren't. So, because there's no way for me, if I feel like I have 1,000 things going on, I'm going to want to devote my time to yet another thing that's going to take up even more of my time. So maybe that's just me, but and then he, apologizes publicly for what happened on her birthday. Yada, yada, yada. That's very performative. Personally, that's very performative, because he did the same thing in front of the cameras in the shared apartment. So it's like, and we all saw that. So it's not like it's anything new. So Idais and Renee then stop on a circle. And big shocker, they're not together anymore. I'm not that shocked. um, because literally the same issue came up repeatedly during the show. The fact that he was drinking. Like, and I'm like, up until the very bitter end, that was the issue. That was the common issue that kept showing up on her for her. And it's just, and so she explains, um, she had a abusive past where she, or a past where she was abused, I should say. That, let me phrase it like that. She had a past where she was abused by an ex. And she didn't necessarily say this, but I'm going to infer, based on the fact that she kept bringing up alcohol, that alcohol had played a part, because otherwise the abusive past has nothing to do with it. If you keep continuing to bring up alcohol as an issue. And before I say anything else, I am so sorry that happened to you, Denise. I hope you have found peace now. And I hope you found someone that can help you navigate your feelings through all this. And that will help you through your healing journey. With that said, I'm also glad that she realized that she was doing way too much based off of her abusive past. Because I understand, her bringing it up initially, because she said she made a point to say she had brought this up to him outside of the cameras, and explained her history. So I'm glad she did, at least to him, because it and I'm glad she said that she can't basically put onto him what someone else had done, because it's not fair. Because until someone does it, until you can actually see the same stuff going, literally having a domino effect to the same exact extent that your ex did to you, it's not fair. Because then all that's going to happen is that the person you're with now is going to feel resentful that you keep holding them to the same, to what your ex did to you. And that's not fair. So I'm glad she recognized that. Because just because he has drinks, or drinks alcohol, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to do anything to you. Because everybody in the mama, including his own, has been saying, while yes, he drinks, he doesn't go overboard to the point that he obviously would do something that he can't walk back from. And yet she kept bringing it up. So, yeah. And I kind of wish she had said something at least once on cameras, and even if it's in a solo confessional, because here I am thinking she keeps bringing this up as an issue for no real reason. So here I am thinking she's, a B, because for no real reason, because there's no reason why To me, I can't see any reason as to why you keep bringing this up as an issue when everyone keeps telling her he doesn't overly drink like that. So I kind of wish we had something to go on, because here I am thinking badly of her because because it's not making any sense to me. So, but I'm going to respect that she just didn't have the space to, like, mentally to bring it up at the time in front of cameras. So I'm glad she's bringing it up now, though, because it's like I just think that's such a horrible thing to go through. So um, so and Letty are then spoken to next. So she's, Letty explains, I mean, after Saul has apologized profusely, that basically the first night they were together in Tulum, he felt rejected, or he felt attacked while she felt invalidated. And she's explaining that Saul had gone to Gerardo saying that Letty had been provoking him. Provoking him. Why, what exactly she was provoking, I don't, maybe feeling like she's doing one thing and then saying and doing one thing and then doing the complete opposite seconds or minutes later. I don't know. And so she, explains the reason why I'm mentioning your daughter is because um, she wanted him to stop throwing tantrums, because he kept going throwing tantrum after tantrum after tantrum, and she couldn't deal with it. Um, and he, was making everything out to be her fault. Um, so, and he didn't dispute it. So, I mean, uh, there you have it. Um, so we then go to Willie and Francesca, where Francesca says that she believes that the man should be the sole provider, and basically Willie doesn't think that, because for Willie, he saw both his mom and his dad, providing for the entire family, not just his father. So it was just a difference of opinion, or a different way of thinking on who should be the provider and who shouldn't. Um, so then finally we get Fernanda and Gerardo. Fernanda initially does not come out on stage, and we find out that Gerardo and Moffer had, messaged each other. This was after what I'm assuming is like a mutual friend having died. Um, and so they went to the wake / funeral, and from there got a drink. And after that, um, started messing with each other. And then, randomly, Gerardo kisses her before Fernanda comes out. Um, Fernanda then walks out, and she and Gerardo step on a circle. Well, there's nothing really to show because they've already done um, broke up before getting to the altar. So um, Fernanda, is explaining that she fell madly, or fell blindly in love. Um, and she eventually noticed, I think she said after the fact, like when she watched it back, like the show back, that he would sing a lot. Um, in Tulum, I think she said during dinner, after dinner, um, just all these times. And she was wondering, well, are you here to promote yourself as a musician and get like a record deal or something? Because that's just weird. Um, and I can see why she thought that. I can see that. So I'm not gonna, um, I'm not going to berate her for her thinking. If that's what she thought, that's what she thought. Um, and so she's feeling like you deceived me, um, and all that stuff. So Gerardo says that he always pursuing the dream of being a musician and didn't come here for that. So basically, it's a he said, she said. You don't know who's telling the truth, if there is even a wrong side at all. Um, and then so she also continues saying, "Well, I didn't feel like you were taking me into account in so many situations, like her dog situation or having sex." Well, the same could be said of you though, because you kind of have to respect your significant other's wishes too, and about these issues, because he gave you a solution. He was giving solutions, and you weren't trying to listen to them. So, how do you think he feels? He might feel like, well, you don't want to listen to me, and you're not willing to do any sort of compromise at all about it. Um, so, and you're not taking into account that he necessarily doesn't want to have sex every single day. So the same could be said of you, and how you don't necessarily take him into account. So I think there's a little bit too much vitriol for him, and I think it's simply because of the fact that he seemed to be showing that he wants to have a musical career more than he wants her, which I can feel how I can see how she would feel like that. I just it, to me, the whole you don't take me into account thing in those examples didn't really. It was only to enhance the, well, you must be here because you want a musical career, not because you want me. So, um, and so she explains her reasoning about why she ultimately sort of ended things was because she eventually, asked him, "Well, do you want to get married?" When he said yes, she felt like it wasn't a sincere yes. And so, because of that, she asked a follow up question, "Well, do you love me?" And he said no. Um, and to which he didn't object to. So, not really much I can help him with on that, but there you go. He was feeling, or he asked, so he was asking, "Do you think that's an appropriate question to ask um, in the experiment?" And she's like, "Well, yes, because obviously I was feeling bad enough to ask that question." And I don't think that's a wrong question to ask, because, um, I mean, she needed the clarity. So, and that's what you're supposed to do, is find clarity throughout this process about whether you want to say yes or no. And she got it. So, um, So he apologizes for making her feel deceived because that wasn't his intention. And he at no time tried to take advantage of her. Um, so that, I mean, so basically, I'm not really that surprised that people who didn't end up together didn't end up together. um, I'm happy Karen and Fernando are doing so well together. Um, and I will try to find updates later, see if they're still doing well. But let me know what you guys thought of the reunion and if I missed anything down below in the comments. Um, and let me know what you guys think of who. Um, if anything else that you thought of this show that I may have missed. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys another time.